Today's video is presented by Notes and Clips. Head to notesandclips.com and use the code BADOWER25 to get the largest current site-wide discount. Hello and welcome to the panel versus Loki, Spoilers Edition. Hi, my name is Jason Badower. I'm an artist and writer for DC Comics. I'm currently working on Joker Harley Volume 2. If you've watched Loki Season 1, then this is the place to be. We're gonna wax lyrical and a little bit not so lyrical about Loki Season 1. I am joined by my god of mischief, Scott Stuart, owner of every single issue of the Avengers and closing in on every single issue of Iron Man. Scott has a bunch of hot takes and also a collection of fantastic covers to show us. He will take us through Loki's progression through the years as well as show us the inspirations for the show. While Scott and I chat, I'll be painting the line work of Loki that I drew in my last video. I really hope you like it. I think I've come up with something really fun as well as a new logo. Let's talk spoilers for Loki. What are some of your highlights?
But this is Ravonna Renslayer from the comics, the love interest of a certain character who appears later in the season, completely reimagined for the series. Ravonna Renslayer. And this is my favorite version of that character, where she's an alternate Earth Nebula.
Two nebulas.
Oh my god, really? I have this run, I completely forgot. Is that Tom Palmer?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Inking John Buscema.
Classic.
John Buscema, like the definitive Avengers artist, had a run in like issue 60 through issue 90 or something like that. And then comes here in the deep 200s for the issues and knocks it out of the park. The perfect penciler under Tom Palmer's inks. Right here, the absolute perfect peak of classic Avengers comics. Starring Ravonna Renslayer as from a different universe as a Nebula Flash.
Oh my god, that is a crazy deep cut, man. Amazing work. This too is my era of the Avengers. Renslayer does a really fun job playing Owen Wilson's boss. Just great performance, brings a really nice level of that true believer, of someone who is really all in, complete conviction. Whether she knows it's real or not, this is too big to fail. Like she's I've come this far, I'm all in. Whereas Mobius, on the other hand, is no, this is all a lie. We need to change course. And just seeing the disconnect between those two characters who were friends, is really fun.
That relationship was marvelous, and the no double down, my life means something, even in the face of being told it was all a lie. Is such a human response to that it made Ravonna compelling, even in the cartoonish excesses of ability.
Yeah, the whole idea of freedom of choice, free will, these are all the really interesting ideas that Loki gets to play with.
Speaking of Ravonna and the big reveal, here's a giant spoiler for Loki. So this is your escape hatch if you're planning to watch it. This is a page from Avengers Forever #1, illustrated by the God People, Carlos Pacheco, inked by his longtime collaborator, Jesus Marina. And yeah, it's one of the few places I've actually got the Timekeepers appearing in panel. And if you look at their faces, they're pretty well reflected by the puppets they produced for the show.
They absolutely are. God, Carlos Pacheco, taken way too soon. What an absolute epic level of talent. I remember seeing his Avengers Forever run here and just being absolutely shaken on an artistic level in a way that has happened very few times in my life. His ability, him and Jesus, and their ability to draw so much, so well, is just shocking to me. I still think Avengers Forever is one of the best drawn books ever.
It made me a lifelong fan of Carlos Pacheco, which is not that much of an achievement, because if you see the dude's art, you become a lifelong fan. This is the cover of my copy of that issue, which is one of a couple of variants. This one is George Perez inking Pacheco's pencils.
Oh, that's crazy. I was about to say that I hadn't been so affected by someone drawing the Avengers since possibly George Perez. There are a lot of people that have impressed me, that I loved, that I really enjoyed, but Pacheco and Perez blew my mind when it came to the way that those two depicted the Avengers.
This is December 98. Written by Kurt Busiek, who was in charge of the Avengers at the time. Busiek and Perez were in charge of the Heroes Return onslaught other universe year of the Avengers in 96, 97. So this is about a year into that hugely well-received run, largely drawn by Perez. And when Perez couldn't keep up with the schedule, they got fillings by like Jerry Ordway and stuff. It's a magnificent run.
Oh my God. It is an absolutely incredible run. I still can't believe that we've lost both those incredible talents. If you are going to a convention and you see an artist or a writer that you like, even if you don't have anything to say, just go up and say hi and thank you, because you may not get the chance to ever again. Time ticks on and it takes its toll, and we are losing these legends. Let them know. Let them know the next time you see them. When people do that to me, people come back with my book and they're just like, I just want to let you know that I really enjoyed it. And it's just always just makes my day.
Mobius is a completely new character.
I don't think he is. In Assembled, they had a picture of a character, which the same mustache was the one thing that they kept from the comic book. So this is Mobius.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they kept the mustache.
From the Slott era She-Hulk.
Yeah. Apparently this is like one of his early appearances. This is reminiscent of the artwork that they used to explain him. Yeah.
Oh,
there's
jiggered.
Mobius and Mobius, Mr. Ouroboros, who is apparently in season 2, Mr. Paradox, and Mr. Tesseract.
Look, over the 60-plus year publishing history of Marvel, I've got to have a couple of blind spots up. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Again, I wouldn't have known that if it wasn't for doing my pre-homework of watching Assembled, and when they're talking about the history of Mobius. And I was like, holy crap, I didn't know he was a comic book character either.
Look, I really should have realized, because they didn't even pick the name Sylvie out of that. Sylvie in the show, her power set is very reminiscent of a long time Asgardian mainstay, Mora the Enchantress, shown here, illustrated by Frank Cho.
Frank Cho is a genius. I did not realize that they had adapted the Enchantress into Sylvie. That blew my mind. I had no idea.
We touched on female Loki earlier, and the fact that at that time in the comics, Asgard was living above a town in Oklahoma. During that time, Loki created a teenage enchantress named Sylvie Luxton, who had adventures with the Young Avengers, and there was a series called Avengers Academy, which was really good, where they set up a school for being an Avenger and had a bunch of teen characters in it. So yeah, even that was a comic reference that most comic fans wouldn't get. I've completely forgotten about Sylvie, because I read those issues once 14, 15 years ago when they were published, and haven't had the opportunity to go back. But no, there she is, vivid as life. And he's merged female Loki with the Sylvie version of the Enchantress, and a magnificent performance.
It really is. It's just an absolutely great performance. I really enjoyed Sylvie. I thought she was a great character. Again, I loved her motivations. I love what they put her through. I really loved the plan that they came up with her to hide in apocalypses. I loved her MO. Great stuff. Great character.
Double down on everything you said, but for me, it's the vulnerability that actress brought to the moments of emotional jeopardy. Fantastic actress. Talking about peace from the Time Variance Authority. This is Thor 372 is the first appearance of the Time Variance Authorities. And it's fronted by this dude called Peace, who is like a Judge Dredd or martial law type future cop.
I cannot believe you have a Miss Minutes cover for us. That's amazing, dude. Todd Nauck, incredible.
Todd Nauck and Rochelle Rosenberg have made this variant of the special Timeless, which came out only at the start of this year, and basically setting up this year's major Avengers storylines, which were Kang-centric, and all the standard covers feature Kang. But I like this Miss Minutes cover. It was the only chance I think I'm ever going to get a Miss Minutes cover, and so I grabbed it.
Oh my God.
I'm really glad I did, because now we can talk about the amazing performance by Tara Strong, just the voice actress of voice actors. Go to her IMDb page. Absolutely talented and nuanced, and voice performer par excellence. So much more to the role than there was on, especially in that final episode in Kang's Castle.
Yeah, this lady is just doing everything, isn't she? Oh my God.
You've already had to click see all, and you're only in the middle of last year.
Holy cow, we're still scrolling and I'm still in 2020. Jesus. She's very good at what she does. You're absolutely right. There is not a lot on the page in terms of personality, and she manages to bring just such a fun take to the character.
This is my copy of Avengers 8, the first appearance of Kang the Conqueror. In the pantheon of great Avengers villains, there are surprisingly few, and Kang is right up there at the top. We were talking about Al Ewing earlier. The work he's done with Kang in the last 10 years has been amazing. I love this character. I'm traveling strategic genius from the future, fighting Earth's mightiest heroes. He's a natural fit, and he's been a mainstay throughout the run. That cover, of course, by Kirby, inked by Dick Ayers, not uncommon, but a not really common combination either in Silver Age Marvel. Ayers spent a lot more time hacking out pencil in Silver Age, but this is one of my favorite Kang covers of all time. Avengers Volume 3, number 49, Kieran Dwyer. This was chapter 10, I want to say, of an 18-issue story arc that was Busiek's crowning achievement, if you like, within the monthly Avengers book. Avengers Forever is forever my favorite, but the Kang Conquers Earth storyline. This was February 2002.
Scott, one of the things that I love about the design of He Who Remains is how similar that silhouette is to this original design. That would it be Kirby who originally designed Kang?
Kirby was the original penciler, handed it off around this time to Don Heck, still like in charge of the book. They're all his covers right up through 25, I want to say, which is a Doom appearance in the Avengers.
It's crazy. One of the things we can see that sort of like robe over his arms that almost like hangs down, this long robe that they use to have that short cape that he has. It's a very similar silhouette to Kang the Conqueror that they did with He Who Remains. He Who Remains had sandals. They allude to those sort of striped boots that Kang has here. Really informed costume choices.
Kang famously becomes Immortus and is also Ramet, a pharaoh in ancient Egypt in the Marvel Universe. And yeah, the complicated history of Kang is like the complicated history of this slice of like cosmic Marvel and how the universe works.
And Young Avengers.
He's great. Oh, yeah, it's a kettle of fish. But I am still hoping we're going to get. I actually hope they do it on TV so we get to spend some time with those characters rather than squeeze them all into a 2-hour movie. But either way, that's coming.
We have. For those of you who don't know, Alan Heiberg, the creator of Dawson's Creek, wrote a comic book series called Young Avengers, drawn by Jim Chung. Again, check out his Instagram. He is just amazing. He's doing a whole bunch of these sort of inked watercolor pieces that are just incredible. Thank you. There we go. And we see Patriot, who we've seen, and there's Kang as the villain, but Kang, I don't even know if I want to spoil that, but it's, so we have.
Don't,
I'm not going to spoil it.
This is one of the most accessible, interesting, but deeply informed by Marvel history comics there is. It's written by a writer who is really good. And yeah, I wouldn't spoil this for anybody for Quid, but I would absolutely recommend it to everybody.
But just talking about the MCU references that we've got already, so the Hawkeye in that run is Kate Bishop. The Patriot, who the Captain America analog, is from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, who greets Falcon. He's the grandson of the original Captain America. Isaiah Bradley
was the seminal Kyle Baker limited series Captain America Truth, where it's established that the super soldier's serum wasn't first injected to Steve. It was first injected into a platoon of
black soldiers.
At the time, they were guinea pigs. Isaiah was the only survivor, but had a heroic legacy in the Second World War that was hidden in favor of the more photogenic Steve Rogers, which Steve comes to terms with in the course of that story. But one of the easily findable in trade or in Marvel Unlimited, and again, highly recommended.
Brilliant, brave story, and I'm just such a huge Carl Baker fan. Anything that man does is just absolute gold. Go check out Why I Hate Satin.
Why I Hate Satin.
That is one of his seminal graphic novels. You could give that to anybody, and it's just a great, great story. I Die at Midnight 2 is excellent. Oh my God, dude, you got all this to hand. It's so good. One of my top graphic novels of all time. I'm going to buy it again just to reread it.
Absolutely wonderful piece of work. If Kyle Baker was Steve Ditko, he'd be filled with rage that we're discussing this work he did so long ago instead of all the work he's doing at the moment. But that's the one I had to hand. That's the one that made us probably both really fall in love with Kyle Baker.
But Isaiah Bradley's grandson has already been seen in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We have Kate Bishop, we have Skrulls, and now we have Kang.
I have one cover left. The character appears on screen for a couple of seconds, but it's one of the most funny appearances in the entire series. It's Throb.
Actually voiced by Chris Hemsworth, somehow.
Of course.
This is one of my favorite appearances, which this is dead set happened. The Thanos copter was a thing in the goddamn comics. So if you saw a helicopter in the background of Journey into Mystery that said Thanos on it, that is this helicopter that Thanos would fly around in the comics. It was a dark time, okay? Don't judge. Don't judge.
This is the same era as the Spidey-mobile,
where Spider-Man had a car that could drive up walls because reasons.
I have some cool covers of the Spidey-mobile if we ever want to do a stream on that.
So my absolute favorite thing in the entire TV show of Loki season 1 had to be Richard Grant as old Loki. I just absolute joy. I don't know what it was that just hit all my endorphins in such a way that I felt so embraced and seen as a comic book fan. And I was like, they did it. I love Hiddleston, but I got this too. And it just made me so happy.
They didn't shy away from this no way to really do the costume and make it look good. So they just went, it's deep thrown together. If there had been like a 1980s Loki, if they would have only had this one version of the character to work from, that's what he would have looked like. That's what they would have costumed him in. It was not perfect in every way. Somewhere out there is a seamstress whose name we will never know, who made that costume and thank you so much.
There's a little moment in Assembled where Richard Grant talks about it and he gets the call and says, oh, I always wanted to be like in a Marvel production. What's I'm going to have all the fake muscles and everything? And they're like, no, not fake muscle. He was like, what? And apparently when he put on the costume for the first time, he was like, giant yellow underpants. My father would be so proud, right?
Because he comes from that British tradition, he was able to embrace it and play it the way it should have been played. So big, operatic, Shakespearean. There are no small roles. There are just small actors. And Richard Grant is a large actor.
He's a giant. He's so brilliant in so many things. I think Withnell and I was the first time I saw him. But just, this is just one of those little gifts that we got that just made me so happy. Season 2 comes out. I'm pretty excited to check it out. The team have massive shoes to fill left by Kate Herron. I don't know if Autumn DeWald is coming back as DOP, but at the very least, they crafted such clear, massive shoes for them to fill. Like everything was so well thought out, so brilliantly executed. I cannot believe these people that had never really had a chance to work on something this big were able to execute on something so massive so well. The closest thing I can think of is Peter Jackson on Lord of the Rings. He does the $26 million Frighteners, and then he moves on to $300 million on Lord of the Rings. Kate Herron moved on to, I don't know what the budget of what she was working on before, but the budget of Loki's $150 million. Killed it.
In Peter Jackson's defense, it was the same progression. He went on from like $500,000 making shipwreck movies in New Zealand to the Frighteners, which, was a mid-low budget horror entry, but starred Michael J. Fox. In terms of orders of magnitude, he kept a logarithmic scale.
She just crushed it.
Absolutely crushed it. A talent of a unique vision and commitment to bringing to life something that I love. She applied a fan's love to a property she worked on for hire and elevated it.
Apparently, her agent was like, hey, you're going to go into Marvel. It's just a meet and greet. Don't prepare anything. And she was like, screw that. And she put together something like a 60-page pitch, and everybody in the room, their jaw just hit the floor. And it's apparently the best pitch that anybody's heard. And I still believe that so much of that pitch made it onto the final screen. The only reason why I believe that is because Loki looks so ridiculously good in almost every single frame, not just the way it's executed, but also in the visual ideas that are on the screen at the time. And I believe that the only way you can get there by having visual effects of that quality is you don't crunch your visual effects house. I hope that she didn't, right? I can only believe that she managed them much better than anybody else. It's the only way I can believe that Loki looks better than absolutely almost everything in the Marvel Universe. Shocking how good that show looks.
In cinema, the popular conception of the director is more or less valid. It varies from director to director and production to production, obviously, but they're executing the director's vision. At the end of the day, the director of a motion picture is the most senior person who doesn't have control of the checkbook. That's not the case in TV. The director is more of a functionary, like trying to corral all of these production elements in the shortest amount of time, trying to add a little bit of visual flair to every shot, obviously, but mostly it's like sausage making. And even compared to something like ER or NYPD Blue, this was comparatively probably a decompressed production. They had more time on either end to prepare and then to put it together. But even there's still that time where you're a clipboard ticker, you're trying to keep wheels in motion more than just working on the creativity of it. So to be able to do that production stuff, manage all of that, still bring an enormous visual flair and have enough hands-on with the entire production to get the single name credit. There are really strict union rules as to who does what, as to how to get that credit. And one of the most triumphant performances of being a working professional I may have ever seen.
Marvel has its blockbuster university where it takes directors in and puts them into the machine and we get the action blockbusters. I believe that the two top names in that university are James Gunn and Kate Herron. Ryan Coogler did a great job. John Watts did a great job, but they're not this level of quality. You don't look at every single frame and go, oh my God, that's beautiful. Yes, they have their machine, but these two are absolutely the top of the class.
Waldron's story, Heron's vision, whatever the truth of how it all breaks out, this is always collaboration of literally thousands of people. Somebody's got to be in charge. Somebody is in charge of everything, and very few things succeed to this degree. Credit has to go to the people in charge.
Yeah. And why do I not include Taika Waititi in that list? Because over the course of 6 hours and change, with which both Kate Herron and James Gunn have done, Taika has given us one fantastic, like 10 out of 10. I think Ragnarok visually is extraordinary, but Love and Thunder, not so much. So it's a massive win and a massive not so win. Whereas I feel like Kate Herron and James Gunn across every single minute of their productions has been amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Thor Ragnarok was not produced as the laugh out loud comedy. He filmed a lot of it because that's Taika and his milieu, and everybody was having such fun on that production. But like the film Marvel wanted made was much more serious and much more straight down the line. And the only reason we got the Ragnarok that we got released was because he put together a gag reel for Hall H in San Diego and it got over like gangbusters. And Feige has always been governed by the reaction it gets in that room. So when he got over there, he went, all right, go and put some jokes back in. And it changed the tone of the film that we got. But that wasn't the film he was making, whereas Love and Thunder was that film. I'm setting out to be funny.
I also think that Thor Ragnarok has some of the most beautiful imagery in a Marvel film. When the Valkyries are doing their final charge, Surtur's destruction of the entirety of Thor's opening fight to Immigrant Song is beautiful imagery. I don't think any of Love and Thunder is that visually powerful. Even if you put aside all the jokes, some people blame COVID for that everyone's on green screens. Did Loki look better because the special effects teams were in COVID and had more time to work on it? Who knows? Who knows?
Yes, it definitely looks better because the effects team had more time to work on it and weren't churning it out to hit the deadline.
So one of the things that Marvel has with its special effects houses is infinite redos. And one of the things that apparently plagued Love and Thunder is Taika just kept changing his mind. He just was, and so they eventually just had no time to do what they needed. And I really feel that one of the tricks to Loki is that Hera knew exactly what she wanted. and they were constantly able to iterate forward. I think she just had a really clear idea. Huge hats off to her for stepping off from Loki season 2. I just don't think she had as clear a vision. And I almost wonder if it's like Danny Boyle. Someone said to him, "Why are you such a good director?" And he goes, "I believe that your first film is your best film. And so by switching genres constantly, I'm able to make every film my first film." And I think Kate Herron was able to make this first film, this first series was like her first album. Like when you get a band that spent 20 something years writing their first album, and then after that, everything else is not so great. And she was able to say, "I'm done."
You get 12 years to write your first album and 6 months to write your second. Absolute mad respect to Miss Herron for having the balls to say, "Man, this was a lot. And I'm happy with what I did, but I'm going to go and do something I want to do," instead of what could honestly be the biggest check she will ever be offered in her career. I have endless respect for that.
They must have trotted out a goddamn wheelbarrow of money to try and get her to even just do the same thing again. Just do it again. You don't even have to do more. Just do it again. And for her to walk away from that is unbelievable. Wish her all the happiness. I hope it was the right decision for you. Whoa, don't go anywhere. While Scott and I finish chatting, I'm not done yet. I still have to show you my finished painting as well as the new logo I designed. Before I do that, I ask you to fulfill your glorious purpose for the day and hit that like button. It will be a huge help for us. And if you want to be notified when my personal Loki rant goes up, my video essay, hit that subscribe and notification bell. All right, are you ready to see my artwork? Because I'm excited to show you. Let me just chuck my signature on. J. Badower 2024. All right, are you ready? My tribute to Loki. Boom, let's go. I'm pretty happy with this. I might actually reduce the size of my signature a little bit. I'm an egomaniac, but I'm not quite that bad. So this is my Loki piece, and I'm really happy with how it came together. I thought the line work was fun, but I really feel like I've closed the gap on the likeness with the coloring, which is what I intended to do. One of the things that I just did was a color hold. And now what that is when you actually color the line work. So you can see here that this is not actually black anymore. You can see that I've done some coloring on his teeth and also on the lines around his nose. If you see a colorist doing that in our monthly comic book, they are absolutely bringing it, because it is a thankless and time-consuming task that I think just elevates pieces to another level. A technique you'll sometimes see on covers, very rarely on the inside. And I'm really happy with how this came out. What I always aim for is a balance between photographic and illustrative. I want it to look like a picture. I want you to look at it and know that it is a picture. And you've seen it being drawn, so you knew that it's all just a picture. So, and again, I've tried to keep a nice energy between being a little bit loose here, doing something that's almost like a little bit more Ben Templesmith here, where I'm drawing over the top of those lines there. Boy, I love Ben. He's a good friend of mine. The next thing I want to show you is the logo I designed. Boom, here we go. No, I didn't want to actually use Disney's logo. Given this is a fan love piece, I wanted to do something that fans would love. So what I did is I found all of Loki's cool quotes and I put them into columns and put them into the logo. So technically, it's not even the word Loki. It is just all his dialogue there. It's the unspoken truth of humanity. You crave subjugation. So just had a lot of fun, and I think I'm really proud of this piece. If you are interested in picking it up, you have two options. One is to join my Patreon, where I'll be giving it away as a random monthly gift as part of the Print Paladin tier. The other way to do it is to find me at a convention, and you can grab it off me there, and I will sign it up for you on the spot, no problem. It would just be a pleasure to say hi to you and meet you, and if you love my artwork, that would just be a bonus too. Thank you so much for joining us in our conversation on Loki Season 1. My next video is an essay on why I believe there is a massive continuity crisis with Loki Season 1. There is an issue that I just can't seem to get over. Am I crazy, or is it actually an issue? Thank you so much again for hanging with us. Scott and I just have a blast doing these. It really brings us such joy to know that other people are enjoying them too. Thank you. Stay safe out there. Hit the notification bell so you know when my next video is up. You might not know that I draw most of my art digitally, but when I draw something on an actual piece of paper, it brings so much more meaning to me. In an increasingly digital world, having something physical makes something so much more special. And with that in mind, I'd like to introduce you to Notes and Clips. This is a line of absolutely gourmet stationery. It's all hand designed and developed by two ex-software and IT developers. They want to bring you back to doing things with your own hands with something really beautiful. I know how hard it is to buy great presents for people, but Notes and Clips is now your go-to for amazing prezzies. Look at these incredible stationery boxes. These are the perfect gifts, and they cover a range of interests and styles for anyone who only has to have an appreciation for beautiful design and construction. What about weddings? Is your partner-to-be doing all the work? Get them a stationery kit and the wedding planner bundle. After that, you'll be able to fly under the radar until you got to put your tux or your frock on. And if you know someone who's into stickers, Notes and Clips has you covered. I mean, technically they're stickers, but these are next level. They're hand printed, artisan designed. I'm going to call them adhesive decorations. You could use them for planners, cards, put them in your kids' lunch boxes, or just anything you want to make look better or feel special. And that's the thing. Everything Notes and Clips has is the perfect gift. And when you gift them, either to yourself or to someone else, please use them. It's all beautiful. It's art, but it's all designed to be used. And with worldwide shipping and tracking, you'll get your next set from the UK in 7 days to most locations. You can go to their site, notesandclips.com, and it'll even convert everything from pounds to whatever your currency is. And I think their price point is a steal for the quality. So either their Etsy store or their website, notesandclips.com, and if you use the code BADOWER25 at checkout, you'll get an even further 25% off. I don't know where you're going to find handcrafted stationery at this price. I've used so many digital tools, but there's no replacement for something real, something you could see on your desk or on your shelf. And when you go back to basics, you should do it with something beautiful. Thank you, Notes and Clips, for sponsoring today's video.
It contains the first MCU appearance of one of my favorite characters of all time. And of course, I would be talking about Kang the Conqueror, but I'm not. I'm talking about Quasar. Quasar appears in this series in sperm form. What? Episode 2 starts at a Renaissance fair in Oshkosh, Wisconsin in 1985. Oshkosh, Wisconsin is the birthplace of Wendell Vaughn, the greatest superhero of all time. His dad is like a physics professor. So where is nerdly Father Vaughn going to be in 1985? He's going to be at the Ren Fair with his other nerd mates, which somewhere in that scene, we saw Frank Vaughn, and in his tentacle was Wendell. Quasar appeared in sperm form.
I'll allow it.